Good evening. I call to order the Lakewood City Council meeting of February 11th, 2019 in council chambers. Will the clerk please call the roll? Thank you.
Hall.
Here.
Roybal.
Here.
Gutwein. Here. Skilling. LeBure.
Here.
Abel.
Here.
Vincent. Here. Vita.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Franks.
Here.
Harrison. Here. You have a quorum.
Great. Thank you. I'd like to welcome all of you who came out this evening. And for those who may be tuning in at home or checking us on a later date, I ask that if you do have a cell phone, please put it on silent. And as many of you know, after our last meeting, we had an executive session, and tonight we finished that executive session. And so folks know no decisions are made in executive sessions, no votes are taken. Direction is given, and we use these very, very sparingly in the case of legal advice, employment issues, or matters related to real estate. So tonight I can report that council did discuss the questions relating to Big Sky and have directed staff to seek a third-party opinion in that nature as to a lot of the information that you have heard. So we will be engaging with a third party to answer some of the questions that we've heard from many folks surrounding the issue. All right, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, next up is public comment. It looks like a pretty seasoned bunch, but I guess I'll read through it and just say that public comment tonight is for items that are not on the agenda. So first reading ordinances that you may see will actually have their public hearing set tonight, and the public hearing will be posted on that date. We'll have a separate public comment opportunity for the resolution under the consent agenda. And I would ask that you have the opportunity to have 3 minutes, 2.5. This little box here will be green. For 30 seconds, it'll go yellow. When your time is up, it'll go red. And I will politely ask you to wrap that up. I invite and encourage all to respect the decorum of chambers and direct your comments to City Council. So first up, I have the Honorable Kathleen Stapleton. Good evening. Welcome to Chambers.
Thank you. Well, I decided it was time to give you a thank you. I think sometimes you get a lot of negatives, and I thought it was time for Ward 5 for thank yous. To Karen and Dana, I thank you so much for your leadership, and your Ward 5 meetings that we have on Saturdays are well attended and very informative, and I really thank you. And it shows. We have good attendance and lots of discussion, and it's good. And I thank you very much. Also, to the mayor, I think it's time we thank you for your compassion and your caring, and particularly for the homeless. Someone told me that you are out there helping our homeless with information to help them have a better life. And as a citizen of Lakewood, I thank you for that. It really means a lot to me and many others, so thank you. Also, although I'm sorry Kathy's not here, but I want to thank her and staff for their leadership in not only in our community and our state, but nationally. I know when you go to NLC that you hear that we are leaders, and it's wonderful that we are continuing to be there. And of course, can't leave here without telling you a little bit about Senior Resource Center. We have a new CEO, and his name is Chris Lynn, and I hope you will be able to meet him in the near future. So thank you again, and remember it's Valentine's Day coming up, so it's all love. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Always great to see you. Mr. Brown. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks again for your time tonight. Eric Brown, 12265 West Arizona Avenue in Lakewood. I want to thank you all first for what Adam Paul had said about deciding to pursue a third-party opinion in the Big Sky matter. I'd be interested to know who the third party ends up being when you make that choice. I'm sure others would as well. But anyway, thank you for that and for taking that to that measure. Just wanted to talk just quickly about some just quick information. You know, if you start looking at special districts and abuses and different ways to fund public services and utilities on the web, there's no shortage, and it's nothing new. The literature and the analysis that talks about the potential abuses of special districts. A Denver law firm that bills itself the leading legal advisor for special district projects says a special district is governed by 5 or 7 member board of directors who are elected by the registered electors. We've heard that countless times, probably in the last several weeks or months, within the district to staggered 4-year terms. They also say a special district is authorized to utilize a number of ways to raise revenues, including issuing debt, levying taxes, and imposing fees and charges. The kind of things that you all are held tightly under Tabor by. They also are. The issuance of debt and an increase in taxes first requires an election and approval by qualified voters of the district, as required by Tabor. But the thing is, with Big Sky and Green Tree and a number of other special districts, there are none. There are no electors. They're able to get into unincorporated, undeveloped areas, set up their own little fiefdoms, honestly, where they're the leaders. That's it. But folks in the future going forward, as that builds out, gets to pay the bill. Special district is not in the business of making a profit from the facilities and services provided. A special district is governed by local control over the services that are provided on a community basis. The special district is responsive and accountable for decisions through the election and the public hearing process. The business of special district is conducted at public meetings. We all know that's not the case. Frequently. CityLab.com, an urban development think tank, says that while there are upsides to privatization of public utilities, there is one major downside. Private utilities excel at providing utility resources. However, they do not excel at conservation efforts. No private business anywhere urges consumers of their product to use less. Allowing the privatization of sanitary sewer in the Rooney Valley by Big Sky will not only undermine conservation of resources, but also likely encourage overconsumption of resources. There are ways for council to interpret this situation, documents, contracts, and service plans that will help them manage this situation. We are urging you and your legal team to begin interpreting the issue in a way that allows you to stop it while avoiding litigation. There are ways. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Costanza? Good evening. Welcome.
Catherine Costanza. I live at 437 Wright Street in Councilman Abel and Councilwoman Johnson's district ward. I'm here tonight to echo Ms. Stapleton because of some concerns about some alarming statistics I've recently came across about increasing homelessness in Colorado and particularly in Jefferson County, and to encourage the council to consider some solutions in the future to address that problem. First, I'll go over some of the statistics and some of the ideas. So I recently learned that homelessness in Colorado is generally increasing, but in Jefferson County, it's also increasing rather rapidly. In the last year, according to the Housing and Urban Development Point in Time survey, the increase in Jefferson County alone has been almost more than 200 people. And specifically, there's an increase in unsheltered homelessness, and that means people who are unable to find temporary housing, even overnight in shelters or anything like that. And the newly homelessness rate is increasing as well in Colorado broadly, but specifically in Jefferson County. And something that was particularly alarming to me is that Colorado is ranked third in the nation for unsheltered families. And that just seems particularly not okay. And we have the highest number of homeless families in the Rocky Mountain region generally, including Arizona, Utah, New Mexico. Some of that I'm sure is due to population, but some of that is not. So, these are particularly concerning to me, and I see direct causes in the lack of affordable housing. I know growth is kind of a hot button issue generally, but I'd like to applaud you for your former support of the Action Center and encourage you to continue to support and fund the Action Center as much as is possible so that they can reopen shelter activities. One of the significant problems is the lack of available shelters in Jefferson County. And the next thing that I'd like for you to consider when it comes across your agenda is considering inclusionary zoning practices. Inclusionary zoning is a type of zoning that requires that developers include a certain percentage of units dedicated to low-income and middle-income housing. It is a strong value of mine, and I would really, it's a value to live in a socioeconomically and racially diverse community, and inclusionary zoning is one of the ways to encourage that in our communities, and I think to create a genuinely sustainable community. And that's what I urge you to do. Run with it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Anybody else? Public comment? All right, seeing none, I'll close public comment. And certainly thank everybody for taking the time and sharing your concerns and comments. Was not aware that there was a new executive director at the Seniors Resource Center, so thank you for that. And as far as homelessness goes, we are trying to do a lot with a little, and we've tasked our city managers to work with the county manager and looking at getting some navigators in the cities as well as in the county, and then continuing to look from there, as well as our very innovative community action team, the CAT team, which I think is 8 agents and a sergeant who are really making a difference with our homeless day in and day out, have already been able to personally get some folks off the streets into a better situation. So we're trying. It's not an easy answer, and certainly going to continue to lean on our partners, our nonprofits, and our faith-based community, because we can't solve it individually. Next up, we have an executive report. Mr. Goldstein.
Thank you, Mayor. Just 2 quick items for you all tonight. First, I wanted to, with Kathy not here, give her some kudos. She presented at our annual state conference for city and county managers and spoke to an incoming class of new city managers about the council manager form of government. It was really well received. She spoke for about an hour and a half, so I just wanted you all to be aware of that and, again, give her a little bit of kudos while she's not here. I also wanted to let you all know that I think you're already aware, but we have a very heavy agenda coming for February 25th, and encourage you all to submit questions to staff in advance, and we'll do our very best to answer those and make those answers available to the public as well. That's all.
Well said. Thank you very much. And Ms. Hodson is off tonight celebrating her birthday, so we wish her the very best tonight, and hopefully she's not watching, and she would be very embarrassed for the kudos, but that was nice. Thank you. All right, next up is the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of resolutions and ordinances on a first reading. Resolutions are ordered tonight to move forward for posting and public hearing on the date set forward. There'll be no public comment on first reading ordinances, but there will be a public comment opportunity on Resolution 2019-5. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
The consent agenda consists of items 6 through 12 inclusive. Item 6, Resolution 2019-5, initiating annexation proceedings for certain property to be known as the Kelly Annexation Number 2, the William Frederick Hayden Park Northeast Annexation, and the William Frederick Hayden Park Northwest Annexation, described collectively as the 2019 Green Mountain annexations, located in Section 7, 18, and 19, Township 4 South, Range 69 West, and in Section 14, Township 4 South, Range 70 West of the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Jefferson, State of Colorado. Item 7, Ordinance O 2019-2, amending Title 5 of the Lakewood Municipal Code to add a new chapter. And between first and second reading, this new chapter will be number 5.56, as we realized we had the same chapter number for short-term rentals. So during the public hearing, it'll be referred to as Chapter 5.56, establishing a lodging facility license program. Item 8, Ordinance O 2019-3, amending Title 5 of the Lakewood Municipal Code by adding a new Chapter 5.55 regarding licensing of short-term rentals in the city of Lakewood, Colorado. Item 9, there's a title difference on this ordinance compared to what was first published online several days ago. We tried to clarify it. Ordinance 2019-4 is to rezone land located at 1950, 1960, and 1970 South Newland Street, Lakewood, Colorado, 80227, County of Jefferson, State of Colorado. Item 10, Ordinance O 2019-5, amending Chapter 2.52 of the Lakewood Municipal Code pertaining to initiative and referendum procedures. Item 11, approving the minutes of the City Council special meetings of November 5th and November 26, 2018, and accepting minutes of the Lakewood Advisory Commission Executive Committee meeting of December 5th and their full commission meeting of November 14th, both 2018.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing on item 6, Resolution 2019-5. Nobody's indicated a desire to speak. I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Mayor Paul, I move for approval of council minutes for acceptance of the minutes of boards and commissions. Order all ordinances introduced on first reading to be published in the Denver Post with public hearings set for the date included in the ordinance, and for adoption of resolutions, all of which are included in the consent agenda items introduced into the record by the city clerk.
Second.
Great, thank you. All right, there's a motion and a second. Any questions? I'll just make one comment for clarification on item 6, 2019-5, the annexation of properties. Parts of Green Mountain are actually not in the city of Lakewood, Green Mountain, Frederick Hayden Park. So this is the annexation to bring those properties while we own them and they're protected parklands. This will bring those properties into the city of Lakewood and our inventory. It already is. All right, please cast your votes. Consent agenda passes 11 ayes, 0 nays. Will the clerk please read item 13?
Item 13, Resolution 2019-6, establishing projects and project funding levels for the 2019 Capital Improvement and Preservation Program, Neighborhood Participation Program.
All right, we have a presentation. I'm going to invite Ms. Boehm down, our principal planner, and she's going to talk to us about some of the good stuff.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I'm Holly Boehm with Comprehensive Planning and Research Division.
It takes just a minute.
A minute, okay. Well, what I'm here tonight is to ask council to approve staff's recommendations for 6 projects that we are requesting funding for in the 2019 Neighborhood Participation Program. Okay, thank you. And before I begin the whole presentation, I just wanted to give you an overview of what I'll be speaking about tonight. I wanted to give you a brief program background, a brief review of our selection process and criteria, the status of past projects that have been completed this past year in 2018, and then staff's recommendation for the 2019 projects. Generally, we have 4 project requirements to meet the Neighborhood Participation Program. First, each project must have a general benefit to an entire neighborhood and not just a single few. The project must not significantly increase city maintenance requirements. The funding level per project cannot exceed $60,000, and the project cannot currently be in the 5-year CIPP budget. We do have a competitive process each year. We open up project applications in May and generally close in September. The applications are then reviewed and evaluated by a staff team from Planning, Comprehensive Community Resources, and Public Works. Projects are scored based on a weighted criteria, which I'll explain in just a minute to you. And then projects are ranked by staff and presented to council for approval. The selection criteria that staff looks at is the benefit of the project versus the cost of the project to construct, whether or not the project improves or increases the health and safety of the community, if the project is in compliance with the comprehensive plan and the community resources master plan. We also look at the amount of neighborhood support that was received with the application, and then whether or not the project does substantially increase maintenance requirements. From 2016, the final 3 projects have been completed this last year. That includes the new steps and sidewalk connection at Hodgson Park, the new playground at Hilltop Park, and a new picnic shelter at Glennon Heights Park. From 2017, we have completed the 2 final projects from that year. One is the art sculpture that was installed at Walker Branch Park. And the second is the sidewalk connection that was placed on Robb Street. From 2018, we have completed the majority of the projects. The new playground and benches at U-Trail Park have been constructed. The outdoor living environment at Green Gables Elementary is complete. The improvements to the community garden at Green Gables Elementary School are almost complete. They have a few remaining simple items such as a sign, compost bins, and some banners that they're going to be putting up. We've also completed the new playground at Rooney Ranch Elementary School. For this year, 2019, we received 17 applications for over an estimated construction cost of $665,000. Staff is recommending 6 projects to you this year for the total cost of $160,000 for construction. This map before you shows the areas of which we received our project applications. The little yellow circle up there shows you where the applications came from throughout the community. So our first recommended project for this year would be the placement of new pickleball courts in Lakewood Estates Park. Our second recommendation would be a new playground at Adambrook Park. Our third is the community garden at Slater Elementary School. Fourth would be landscaping improvements at the southwest corner of the intersection of West Colfax and Wadsworth Boulevard. Then we are recommending small landscape improvements at McNabb Park. And our final recommendation would be the placement of neighborhood kiosks and trash cans at the entry of the new pedestrian and bike path at the 10th and Gray Path. In summary, staff is requesting or asking that City Council approve the resolution to adopt the 6 recommended projects for funding in the 2019 Neighborhood Participation Program. That's it, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions if you have any.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Always a great program and an interesting opportunity for the community to engage. And to be honest with you, I didn't know we had a McNabb Park. I mean,
It's a very, very small park.
Yeah.
And it's located about 26 and Sim Street.
26 and Sims. Okay, it's great. We have over 100 parks, so it's easy, but.
Honestly, the neighborhood has been really doing their best to maintain it for many, many years, and they have quite a bit of ownership in it. So they've just come to us to ask for some help with some of the landscaping improvements.
Great. Councilor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Holly. I love this program. It's always good to see what we're going to do out there. I noticed that Westland Park had asked for some help, and Community Resources is going to prepare a master plan. Correct. Will there be neighborhood input for that, number one? And number two, is there a date certain that we can look at to have something done there?
There will be neighborhood input, as we have with all park planning processes.
Okay.
I'm not sure of the certain date. I'll defer to Ross Williams with Community Resources.
Good evening, Mr. Williams.
For Westland Park, our desire is to have a master plan finished before, so that the community can submit projects for the next year's neighborhood participation program. So that would hopefully be by late August to have a plan in place that is acceptable to the neighborhood up there. On my staff is starting to plan the meetings, when we're going to be getting the meetings together and working on that, along with the master plan for the Quail Street site that's just around the corner from it.
Thank you, Ross. Could
That
you
park
please?
is a very small park. I just want very small park.
Could you please keep Councilor Abel and myself in the loop on that?
Yes, we will.
And so you're going to be working with them so that next year when this comes around again, and they can resubmit.
Yes.
Is that the way I'm hearing it?
That's the plan that we hope to work with the neighborhood, and the group that we've been working with up there has thought that would be a good thing, because they weren't sure of which pieces of the puzzle and how much of the puzzle, and there's quite a few things that they'd like to see happen out there. So we thought it would be best to come up with a good plan to improve the site.
Thank you, because that area needs a lot of open space in Parkland. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mayor Pro Tem Abel?
Nice job with the participation program. It's always a pleasure to hear it. I don't think even we can make a controversy out of neighborhood participation. I'm sorry, our attorney thinks we can. I do want to know who owns the old Mountain Bell site at Colfax and Wadsworth. That's the landscaping project.
Right. The site, the vacant site there is City of Lakewood.
How did we get that?
I think we got it with the road widening, intersection road widening many years ago, and it was just leftover right of way that belongs to the city. So
Great.
that's why we're able to go forward with this.
Thank you very much. And I think Hilltop Park will certainly benefit from the attention that we put on them. So thank you.
Councilor Bito?
I just want to say real quick, thank you for your work on this, our staff, for identifying these projects that are in such need, and your prioritization and bringing these to us for approval. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Gutwein?
Also, just want to thank you and everyone involved, including the neighbors who submit these projects. And we've had a couple completed in Ward 5 lately, the Hodgson Park steps, and we get great feedback about what a difference that's made in the neighborhood. And then, of course, the community garden at Green Gables. And these projects really make a big difference in our community. So we're very, very thankful for all the work that you do to make them happen. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Franks, pickleball. I knew it.
I'm going to be talking about. I love that these projects are community driven. That's really, people are saying what they want their parks to look like. I would just encourage on the pickleball one. Now we have a unique situation at Green Mountain Rec Center, just the topography and how sound carries more in the hills. It makes that more of a unique challenge. But I know that we had things that we did to mitigate with the types of, balls that were used and the hours and all that. So I would just make sure that as you're planning this out and working with the neighborhoods, that you be cautious cognizant of that, maybe get in front of those issues. But I know I looked at the topography. It's a much different situation, but just I would keep that in mind.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. And when we looked at this, we understood some of the noise concerns that we had come down at the Green Mountain. So we made sure that the applicant got as many signatures adjacent to the park and explain perhaps what this might mean. So hopefully, we'll solve those problems before we even start.
We've learned a lot about the acoustics of
It's amazing. Right. Noise is an interesting thing.
how it travels. Councillor Skilling.
I wanted to echo some of what you've already heard, but on behalf of Ward 4 and Barb and myself, thank you for these projects, especially U-Trails and Rooney Ranch. We were out there, Mayor Paul and I were out there for the opening of that, and those kids were out of their minds excited about that. So that was fun to see. I do have a question for Ross, because I know we talked about it. What happened to the fire truck?
Oh.
U-Trail.
It went to a fire truck heaven, unfortunately. Reusing those facilities are very difficult.
Well, thank you again for all your work, and thank you for the community who brought that forward.
Were you supposed to get that? I asked for it to be delivered, yeah. Councillor Vincent.
Quickly, and I'll speak on behalf of Jacob and myself. Before we get any emails or I'm cornered at WCCA on Wednesday morning, I do want to note that on the 10th and Gray path, you just talked about the kiosk and the trash can, but yes, do not send me an email. There is a doggy doo dispenser that will be there also.
Sorry, I did not mention that, but there absolutely will be.
Yeah, it was the first thing that was asked for over there. Okay, thank you.
Well, I will make sure in my letter responding to the neighborhood that I do include that.
That will save us many emails. I appreciate that.
Any more questions? All right, I'll open public comment on the neighborhood participation. Nobody signed up. I'll close it and ask for a motion.
Mayor, I move for the adoption of Resolution 2019-6.
I second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Please cast your votes. Passes 11 ayes, 0 nays. Fantastic. Thank you, Ms. Boehm, Mr. Williams. Well, folks, it's 7:37 and there's nothing left.
General business, Mayor.
Guess we can start working on stuff in general business. Anything under general business tonight? All right. We'll go to council reports. Mayor Pro Tem, do you have anything?
Not tonight, Your Honor.
Wow. Council members, I'll start all the way on my right. Nothing from Councilor Roybal, Councilor Gutwein.
We had a great Ward 5 meeting this Saturday where we learned about beekeeping and urban agriculture from Dale Miller, a resident of Ward 5, and it was fascinating. And then we also did council update and then neighborhood concerns. So thank you to everybody for coming to our meeting.
Councilor Skilling.
Thank you to everyone who came to our Ward 4 meeting. Wasn't quite beekeeping, but we did have robust community discussion as always, and thank you for everyone for your opinions and staying after to talk with us. I think we wrapped at 8 p.m. that night, so but thank you all for that. And we are working on our next Development Dialogue Committee meeting. We're working on that. It's looking like I have one more confirmation to get, but we're hoping sometime in the first week of March. But we're not going to do anything between now and the 25th because that is going to be an action-packed next few weeks. So look forward to, we'll be posting the agenda and when that comes out. The agenda will be parking, but if there's anything else that comes up, we'll be posting that.
All right. Councilor LeBeer.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think everybody's saving their energy for the 25th. So congratulations on getting out here early. I decided I was going to talk long just to
Filibuster.
Just to filibuster this. No. So Wednesday we have our ward meeting. It's going to be at 40 West Arts District. Wednesday, that'll be 7:30 to 8:30. That's at 1560 Teller Street. And I believe we're going to test out again our evening meetings throughout the summer and see how that goes. And we'd like your feedback on that. So please provide that, and we look forward to seeing you. Thanks.
Councilor Harrison? No report. Councilor Franks? Councilor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I'd like to thank everybody who came this last Thursday to the opioid forum. It was well attended. We had about 70 people. I'd also like to thank the panel that came and participated. Our Fire Chief Lombardi was there, the sheriff was there, Mike Mestis, a commander from the police department, Dr. Johnson from the health department, and also my good friend Sue Smith from the FBI. And I'd like to thank the mayor. He came and spoke, and also for supporting the use of the council chambers for this forum, and my good buddy Pete for helping me out that night. Even as a nurse, it's very apparent to me, frankly, I've still got a lot to learn about opioids and exactly what's going on chemically and just on every level with that. I'll just briefly say, given two patients, both of them with the same demographics, they both have got total knees. One will become addicted to the opioid and one won't. There's something going on there, frankly, that I personally don't truly understand. So there's a lot to learn. There were people that came that night that frankly have a lot of pain and suffering in their lives with family members with opioid addictions. And there was some very intimate and difficult testimony that they gave. It was needed for all of us to hear. It became very apparent to me that this is the beginning of a conversation. We really need to put some more time and thought into opioids as a city. And again, it's just the beginning. This Thursday, the Colorado Municipal League is going to have their all-day legislative workshop. And there will be some of us going to that to learn about some of the interesting bills that are going to be coming forward to the state legislature. Some of them will be affecting us, some of them won't. Ben is really helping, making sure we get the right bills for the city to be addressing. And then just something that happened that was kind of funny this last week during the snowstorm, there was a huge plow that came down my street. And just for fun, I thought I'd go and say hello to the person that was driving it. And lo and behold, Rick Ash came popping out. That's awesome. Thank you. That's enough.
Councilor Bita? No report. Councilor Vincent? No report. All right. Well, thank you, Councilor Johnson. That was a powerful evening indeed, and a lot of great information. You may have noticed there's new signs popping up all over Lakewood. So there's some new entrance signs, and that's part of a long awaited, I think, rollout that we talked about some time ago. So you're going to see a lot more branding in the city of Lakewood and different things that let you know or remind you you're in our great city. A lot of fun things going on for the 50th anniversary. Look out, you might have a pop-up party come your way. I'm not quite sure how that works, but one was thrown. But there's a lot of cool things, a lot of great history. People are sending in incredible things. Kathy Stapleton, who was here earlier, if you don't remember, she was a former council member. So it's fun to see a lot of different folks out there. Complete count committee. This is for city council. So in anticipation for the 2020 census, we need to create a complete count committee. So I'd ask you to think of some names of people in your community that would be willing to volunteer some time. It helps that if they're part of an organization or know of different areas that might be of impact, where it could be a challenge to get those counts in an accurate manner. So in the next couple weeks, if you could give me some names, that'd be fantastic. And then we can continue on that for the community as a whole. You're going to see a lot of job openings for the Census Bureau, which will have an office here in the city of Lakewood, and will be a great opportunity if anybody's looking for some part-time work along those lines. And lastly, I would just like to close with reminding council that on the 25th we have a packed agenda. Sometimes we ask questions because we think the community would like to hear those answered. That's great. But if there are little questions or things that can really be taken care of in the next couple weeks through staff, please do so. Please get those questions in. I don't want to get to the point where we have second reading ordinances and we're trying to amend it 11 different ways if possible. Sometimes you might have to, but it's going to be really important to get through that night. And I'd ask the community as well, if you have questions or concerns, please get them in. And then as far as public comment, we always welcome it, but we also ask that we're not redundant. So if somebody is speaking and you agree with that when it's your turn, just say I agree and we will mark it down. And in fact, on public hearing sign-up sheets, it actually states in the record if you support the issue or if you don't, so that'll go down in the record. That's all I have. Councilor Franks, did you have an additional? Yeah, go ahead.
Regarding the complete count committee, I think it'd be important for me to be able to solicit the right kinds of folks to know maybe the core responsibilities, the amount of time commitment that you estimate. Is it 2 hours a week, 2 hours a month, and maybe is it daytime commitment or evening commitment? That'll help me make sure I target the right audience and make sure they know what to expect.
You bet. I can get you that information. Ms. Greer? Mr. Cox? Mr. Goldstein, you always get the easy meetings. Thank you to our police officers for keeping us safe, and we will adjourn at 7:46 p.m. on